Hey guys, how's everybody doing? I hope you are doing well. I am here today, a little late. Sorry about that. I finally got my streaming situation taken care of. The only issue now is it's having issues connecting to uh, the computer. So I apologize for the TA issues. It's looking like it wants to connect, but it's not connecting. So right now, I just gotta. It was working literally perfectly before we actually even set up. I did a test run with my system here. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna reset this here because it's Ah, here, come on, come on. Fingers crossed. No whammies, people. No whammies. I think it's working. But now we have. There we are. Okay, let's see if it's now going to decide it wants to work. Come on. You got this. I believe in you. I believe in my setup. You guys can do it. Come on. Here you guys go. Yeah.
Yay!
Here we are. So today we've got a lot of cool things going on. One is simply we have a couple guests. We'll see if they do come through. The way I do my guests is I put it out there. If they decide they want to come, great. If not, it's cool. I do my thing. We go over the markets and we kind of go over there. There's a guy. He is a telemarketer, and his name is Matthew Buchanan. And I've been looking to buy property. I really feel like the property markets are going to be dropping here real soon, and the short of it is this guy and his team is relentlessly calling me. And I don't mind it. Listen, I've done telesales before. I have called people. How you doing, Brinks? Good to see you, brother. And hopefully, can you hear? Can you? Is your mic working? I've been having issues with my video camera. So it has been such a pain. Yesterday it just didn't want to work. I don't even know what it did. Maybe I've been using it too much doing other life stuff, and it just said, you know what, I'm not working for you today. I'm taking a day off. I do use it every single day. So you know what? Um, I mean, it probably hasn't had a break for maybe 20 days. So yesterday decided, hey, I'm not working for you. And but then today it was working. So go figure. How does that work? I don't even understand. Like technology, right? So it brings you there. If you want to say something, great. But I wanted to bring up the situation I was talking about earlier or before. So a guy named Matthew Buchanan might be coming on. If he does, cool. I don't mind it. Let him come on. It will be fun. He does stuff with real estate and other things, and so I'm talk a little bit about his stuff that he's looking to do, and then we'll talk crypto. We'll talk charts with him, and if he decides he wants to come, cool. If not, it's on him. I gave him the opportunity. Him and his crew were dogmatic to call me during my setup, and I kept telling him, "Hey guys, I do a show. I need you guys to give me a call after the show." And we'll find out. Hey, Brinks, I can hear you now, brother.
Okay, think because I might need to figure out some stuff with my laptop.
All right.
Because I'm not on my main computer right now, so that might have been the problem. So I called from my phone.
No worries, my friend. You're okay. You're good. Don't even worry. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you taking the time. Going through. I took it's a bit chilly here. We just had a price or not a price drop. We did have a price drop, but we also had a little temperature drop, didn't we? Here where we live, right? Last night I was just like, nice. It actually feels like fall. So that last year we didn't have a fall feeling, right? It went literally from summer to winter. So it's nice to have these little fall days, you know. Anyways, um, So wherever you're at, man, just you're always welcome to come along. I kind of want to bring up some quick little analysis, real quick, in the crypto markets. The market did drop off. I did not do my morning um, setup that I normally do in Moonrock as well as Ninja Lounge. Apologize to the communities about that. I'll get one out here in a second. I was actually away taking care of some stuff, and then just didn't have time to do it. So I should have done it more. I probably should have done it around more like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock when I first got up and just did it. So we'll see. But
I can't believe you, Pedro.
I know, I know. you know,
I'm just messing with you.
yeah, it's all good. I take the community situation real, right? Because some people do look at that stuff and use it for their trading, and I want to make sure I'm an assistant to it. So
In a way, you could actually use it to help teach people how to set up the chart. So it kind of works.
actually, you're right. I very much could do that. I didn't even think about that.
Huh?
I said you're very right. I didn't really think about that much. So it's very true. Very, very true that I could have done that. Very much so. It's interesting. The markets today rallied right up to the 30-minute mark here. So I was looking at this morning, and so we ran up here at towards the beginning, and then the open happened, and literally it was just a big sell off of these areas. But the reason I want to point out is I started messing with um, a guy. He basically has what's the word I want to use? He uses a type of here we are. He uses index or excuse me implied volatility in a mathematical formula to basically go through and um, trade the markets, and it gives him resistance and support levels. And a lot of these are actually used in like a lot of these support and resistant levels act as a what's the word I want to use? An algorithmic trading bot form. So a lot of the bots trade off of these support and resistance lines, and they go in and they take a little bit of the market and then they get out, right? A lot of the what do they call them? Just algorithms that trade the market. They're real quick. But it's what I've noticed is they all correlate with the SMAs many times. So it's almost it's crazy for me to sit there. And so here was one of his resistant lines for myself that I was looking at. And as I was sitting there looking at it, I was like, man, it is playing directly to what I was thinking. So it's interesting to sit there and see how things are played. So, anyways, all that to say is I have a new indicator on my chart. So if you're wondering what these lines are, they are basically just kind of little areas that I'm looking at for support and resistant levels, and support that was previous support now become resistance. So, yeah, really interesting to see how things are working here. Let's go ahead though and jump into some of the news here because I find things very, very interesting what we're seeing in the news. So the SEC is being sued. Did you hear about this? Brinks? The SEC is basically being sued. And it's very interesting to sit there and see what's actually going on. So basically, I'll read the. It's actually on Crypto News that I found it, and it's titled "The Crypto-Friendly Bank is Suing," or it says this crypto-friendly bank is suing the Fed, and why? And why? A win would be hugely price positive for digital assets. So that's actually what they have it. The article was written by Jaroslaw Adam Mowski, Adamowski. And it was written today around 3 o'clock in the morning. But I want to say this because he writes actually some really good points here that I find very interesting, right? Um,
Pedro had to drop for a second.
oh, you're good, you're good, you're good.
But yeah, I did hear about that, but I forget who's suing them.
Yeah, so basically it's the US digital asset focused bank Custodia has filed a lawsuit against the Federal Reserve Board of Governors and the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City over unlawfully delaying its application for a master account with the Fed. The bank received major backing earlier this week after the U.S. Congressman submitted a, submitted a friend of the court brief. The lawmaker urged a Wyoming court to dismiss the Fed's motion to dismiss the lawsuit. So I want to throw out, because on my LinkedIn page, I actually shot a thank you to a few of these senators here. They're basically three Republican senators, including Cynthia Loomis, Steve Daines, and Kevin Kramer. Um, basically, and four GPO members of the House of Representatives, including Warren Davidson, Ted Budd, and Trey Hogginsworth, and William Timmons. Actually, I need to put them in there as well. I forgot to put them in. A similar document has also been submitted by the state of Wyoming. Yahoo Finance hits the report. But basically, they were waiting for more. I think it was like for more than 19 months. They were waiting for the SEC to be able to sit there and say, hey, we receive your information. And then ultimately, they just delayed it. And this is what we keep seeing with the Fed, is that people are actually trying to follow the rules, like XRP, right? XRP is trying to follow the rules. They submit to the Fed, and all of a sudden the Fed flips on them and just sues them or just ignores them and just leaves them. So it's a very interesting thing what we see in the
Yeah.
markets. What are your thoughts on that?
Do you want the short version?
No, man, listen, I want you to air your thoughts and what you're thinking. That's the point of the
Yeah.
show.
It, it, but like, it's hard to really explain, but I truly believe that the Federal Reserve is gonna cease to exist.
Wow. Because of
Or,
Dallas?
but at some point. But like, I'm surprised it's still alive and kicking. But I've been following certain things for since like 2010, I think. And with foreign currencies like Iraq, Vietnam, and other countries, and that there's supposedly a plan for something called the global currency reset set.
Mm,
Not the Great Reset. They're
mhm,
two completely different things. The global currency reset set it is the good version of it, where pretty much like, how right now the U.S. dollar has like a huge gap between like a country like Mexican peso,
mhm,
how like it takes a few hundred or something to make a dollar.
mhm,
So what the global currency reset supposedly is going to do is wipe out the the central banks, and every country's currency is going to be backed off some type of asset that their country is rich in. But like Iraq, they're rich with oil. Vietnam, rich with rice. Things like that. The commodities that those countries are rich in will be the backing of their currency's price. And everywhere's gonna pretty much supposedly be backed to back to like where everything's within a couple of dollars instead of hundreds or thousands or billions of dollars. Because there's some countries, but like Zimbabwe, where like the amount of zeros that they have it is even worse than the amount of zeros most shit coins have
Wow.
compared to the dollar.
That's really interesting. I'm actually looking this up, all this stuff right now as you speak. It's the first time I've heard of this. I've heard little bits of people kind of speak about it, but I just equated it with the Great Reset. But yeah, this is actually really, really dope. It's one of those things that I'm looking at
It,
this going, wow, like
yeah. So like as you know that like that there's good people and there's bad people. But the
wait,
good people are
there's
fighting
bad people? What? What? Don't play with my emotions. You're telling me the people are bad. I don't believe that. Every person has good intentions. Everybody.
huh?
I said everybody has good intentions, right?
but
Sorry. Go ahead.
no problem. That was a good one. Um, so there's good people and there's bad people. The good people are pushing for the global currency reset, while the bad people are working to push the Great Reset. The Great Reset, it was a 16-year plan. Um, I want to continue that part, but I'm not sure if I can because it ranges more into the political side. But that there's certain people that there was a certain person that actually wrote a book that laid out the 16-year plan. And once I say the quote, you'll probably know who I'm referring to.
Mm.
He said in his book, he said, everybody, no one will own anything, and they will love it.
Oh, the villain. If there is a man who I could sit there and truly say looks like a James Bond villain, it would be, and his name, like Klaus. I forget what.
Yeah, I just didn't want to get us targeted.
Ah, they are not paying attention to us. I mean, listen, I think maybe we have at this moment. I mean, we got a few people watching us, and that's it. I mean, I'm definitely not on their radar at all.
True,
Um,
true.
but
But
it,
I mean, like certain keywords might like cause the AI. I don't really know much about this platform, but I'm used to like YouTube where
oh, they might monitor.
if you just say certain words that they somehow detect it and you get on their radar.
I can see it. I can see it. Yeah, I just don't think we are going to. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be paying
But,
attention to
plus,
us.
it was more out of respect for you as well, since it's your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not worried about them trying to come after us just simply because it's. I mean, unless I get to 1 or 2 million viewers a day like Joe Rogan, where it's just like, holy moly, this has got crazy, right? That's a different story. But right now, it's I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
basically a twinkle in their eyes. So, um, or I'm not even a twinkle in their eye is a better way to state that. So,
Uh, yeah, and also a book. Well, I'm not sure if it's. I think it's a book, but also a video to really explain to people
yeah, what is
about the Federal Reserve is creature from Jekyll Island.
okay? All right, and then and where could we find that video on the gray currency reset? What's a good video
Um,
on that we could
to,
watch or that could put in the notes?
find what?
The great currency reset.
Um, that's kind of tough. I haven't found any videos that are that are really like logical speaking about it, but I could send you the Twitter account for this guy that I get the information from
All right.
that I've been following since 2012 for you.
Is it something? Is it anything with anon?
No, no.
Good. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want. Not that I just. I've some people send me some stuff, and then I see it's like Anon or a couple of others.
QAnon.
QAnon. That's what it is. Yeah, QAnon, and I'm like, oh no, bro. I'm sorry. So,
But
um,
well, I do also believe in that stuff, but that's more on the political side of things. So I know you don't want to keep politics. I know you want to keep politics to a minimum.
no, I don't mind politics. Listen,
Oh,
this is we're talking crypto here, crypto politics here. I mean, the idea though is this: is that the Fed has definitely been targeting crypto and has been, not they have not been friendly towards it. So it's really interesting to see what's actually going on. Um, Real quick, who's the guy? I just pull him up here and just put him in the show notes.
oh, um, at the underscore TNT underscore team. Uh,
At TNT. Looks like he's not. Looks like they shut him down.
no, he's there. How did you spell it?
At
Oh,
the.
no, I meant the at sign.
Oh,
Yep, that one with
oh,
the
there.
fire logo.
There we go. We'll check him out. See what he's got to say.
Yeah, I think every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 1 Eastern that they do a call. Today they're doing it at 3 p. What's today? The
It's Friday.
21st or twenty
Yeah.
second?
Today is the 23rd. Just a couple days there.
Yeah. So their most recent one is from Wednesday, and they did a call at 3 o'clock that you can listen to.
Okay. All right.
And in a way, they almost hold it like an AMA.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so yeah. So like they'll do like their updates that they get because somehow they got a high level or claim to have high level government people that they're in communication with, that they're in connection with bankers in other countries as well, and they constantly get updates. I haven't been listening closely to them in a while, because it kind of got started getting repetitive.
Hmm.
But that every once in a while for new people, but they'll kind of like go over the whole history of what's going on.
So, but they're just basically always bringing up just updates to current things that are going on that they're speaking about, is what you're saying.
Yeah, things going on behind the scenes, and and saying like this is what they're telling us about the reset, and this and that.
Okay. See, and I think it's really interesting to sit there and think that, because I mean, one thing I know that the dollar is definitely crippling um, what we're seeing right now in the world. There are many there are a lot of, for lack of a better word, um, a lot of countries that are basically crippling because they can't afford to do business with America, and America is one of their primary people. So to actually be able to exchange from their currency to the dollar is very hard, and so it's crippling
Yeah.
a lot of small countries out there. So it'd be really interesting to sit there and see them be able to trade or commerce. I posted a article on my LinkedIn page, and the LinkedIn page was basically communicating that, or the article basically was saying though that a lot of countries right now are struggling with the dollar and trying to actually keep up with certain things, and to be able to figure out a way whether they should maybe switch over to Bitcoin, right? Where they could actually, because here's the thing, most people think like, well, I don't want a currency that fluctuates, right? But the reality is the US dollar is fluctuating immensely right now. Yet Americans, we don't see any fluctuation in our dollar costs or things like that. I mean, yes, we do, but I mean, in comparison to like Bitcoin, I think it would pretty much still just kind of stay the same. If the rest of the world switched to a Bitcoin standard, okay, we would not see, I mean, Bitcoin may fluctuate, but we would not see fluctuations within our currency of buying a coffee because the rest of the world uses it. So it's like if every like the Earth moves around extremely fast, right? It's going crazy, and it's moving also at one direction around our solar system. I think at like 29,000 miles an hour or something crazy, or is it a minute? The world revolves and turns. I think 1,000 miles a minute. I forget the exact
But
number.
but I thought that the Earth was flat. How does it
Like,
rotate if it's flat?
listen, I'm not gonna get into. We're not gonna go into that. But what I
I, I,
what
I, I'm just joking around. I don't, but like I really don't believe that one. But like I'm a big conspiracy theorist, but that one's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think I believe in a lot of them. But one thing that we've seen during COVID is that a lot of these conspiracy theories that we thought they just came out, like the Great Reset conspiracy theory, like that's whatever. And now we're seeing, the World Economic Forum really push this, and you're
Hmm.
like, wow, that was real. So
But
right now,
well, something that's funny about that. But like I've known about the global currency reset and the plan for the Great Reset for about the same amount of time. But the people that I learned about that from is also the same people that told me I should have gotten into Bitcoin under $1.
that makes sense. But you want to know something though is listen to all those people who say, "Man, I missed Bitcoin." Like I missed Bitcoin, and I was
Hmm.
in trading. I was so it wasn't like you actually had to. I was speaking with a guy yesterday. He was told about Bitcoin back in 20, and he's in computer world. He does a lot of stuff. He's also in the insurance world. And one of the things that he was bringing up, and I think this is paramount. He basically says that listen, I got a Bitcoin back when it hit 3,000. When it came down, it hit 3,000, right? And he was saying he was literally sitting down, looking over some stuff on his phone, and he got notifications on it. And he said he went in big. He said, you know what? That is such a good price from 20,000, right? So he got in at that price, but he'd been told he'd been he'd been it had been mentioned to him. He'd been in the industry for a minute. He understood what it was, but he still didn't get into it until it hit 3,000. So like I bring this to a thing. Like first of all, I still believe that we're very much in the first part of this thing called cryptocurrency. I mean, you still haven't 14% adoption. Right? Let me put it like this. Almost like 98% of the people adoption of the stock market believe in it, right? Maybe 99% of the people believe the stock market. Okay. And you still find good deals in the stock market, right? It's the stock market is still not a stupid thing to invest into, right? And so right now we have, I mean, 40% of Americans have messed with crypto, and they are investing into it on a daily basis. Maybe there's even a fewer people that are even. There's probably maybe 4 or 3% of people in America, maybe that do that. I would actually say it's more like probably 1% of the people in America that maybe. I still feel like 1% is maybe too much that invest into it on a daily basis, or not daily, but on a weekly or monthly basis, right? So if you feel like you've missed Bitcoin, you haven't, because it's going to like it's coming down, and as once people realize, once it really kind of finds a bottom here, or we start to put higher highs and higher lows, we're definitely going to see a pump, and then again you're going to see another um mayhem of flurry a flurry of people running in and hoping that they don't miss the next pump. So like I honestly think we were talking back and forth, me and this gentleman, and I almost said this. I'm kind of glad I didn't, but I've said it here. I think I posted that I do think Bitcoin will be at 1 million. I I, I think it probably be at 1 million. We'll probably see Ethereum at 100,000, maybe 200,000. I mean,
That'll probably take but like 5 to 10 years, probably a little
yeah,
lot longer, right? It won't be like next bull run
no,
that you're projecting this. You're
no,
thinking
no, no,
maybe two
yeah,
or three bull runs, right? Right.
right, yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying though is this,
But yeah, like regardless, like
yeah, like you haven't missed
getting
any,
in like that because we still are early into crypto
absolutely.
because at the all-time high for the crypto market, we were at like 2.5 to 3 trillion. The stock market, it has been up to over like 10 trillion, right?
No,
I
we're about
forget the exact
40.
number.
It's like 40 or 50 trillion.
Yeah, I was kind of
Yeah,
lowballing it,
that's
but
what I
like,
yeah. Actually, the
but,
full of it is about 128 trillion, I believe, or something like that. Yeah.
yes, and then like gold, that's at least what was the stock market gets to. Oil.
Well, let's okay. Let's all right. So the American stock market, right? I think capitalization at its peak was like maybe 40 trillion, but worldwide, I believe it's like 120 something $1 trillion. So, and again, and
Those numbers were only for in America.
yeah. So but the
Wow.
120 trillion is worldwide. Now this is important to understand, right? Bitcoin is a worldwide phenomenon. So, will it get to 128 trillion? I don't think so. I don't think Bitcoin will get to 128 trillion. But the market capitalization, because of crypto and the mechanisms in it, and how everything from your t-shirt to your shoes can become a way in Web3 for you to make money off of. Literally, like you can walk into a store, and if you've got a type of code on them, when you're walking around entering into stores through Web3, the individual person could be making money just to walk around. I know this sounds crazy right now, right? But I'm telling you, in 15 years, 10, 15 years, with the onset of helium, with Solana coming together, right? People don't realize how big of a deal this is, right? And it's like it's selling off. Or with uh, Web3 is going to change the world. Like people with the metaverse ideology, or excuse me, with metaverse technology and the ideology that's coming behind it, where literally commerce will be done literally through the metaverse. Where if I need to go and if let's say I need to go and I'm living or perfect. I had a friend of mine. He lives in the States, and um he has to come down. He has to go to New York, but he's actually from Canada, right? He actually has to go into, and this is crazy, into New York to do stuff to make sure that he is who he is, right? And but in the future, right, you will have a personal scan for yourself that will be your own smart contract, right? That will be solely to you. It will be your own NFT. It will be your own, like literally, it's going to be like your social security. Okay. And you'll be able to go into the metaverse to go to like the I forget what they're called, not border patrol. You can go to a border patrol to do this as well, but um why is it you basically go into and to check who you are, and you'll be able to go into these metaverse places and actually be able to sit there, or metaverse like houses or wherever you want to go, right? And you'll be able to just verify, hey, this is who I am, I'm living here, and that's it. And they'll be able to verify it through the actual um through the metaverse and everything. This is coming. Like this is the new, like it's like 1990 um, with the internet. 1992, 1994. Like this is where we're at right now. right? When it comes to the internet.
But wish I was a little bit older back then to actually know what
Oh,
that means.
okay, no, no. So this
Yeah,
is when
because like, but by the
Yahoo.
time, but by the time my earliest like real memory what was up, what was like what when the internet was already somewhat working. So
Got it.
but like obviously like how it's expanded, even in the last 5 years, it is crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely crazy. And the other part behind it, and I bring this up, is it's not even the idea of the market um, changing, right? Like it's going to evolve, meaning the cryptocurrency, Web3, blockchain. We're going to see evolution. What we see today, like I remember Yahoo, like Yahoo Finance, was the primary search engine that everybody used. Hotmail was the primary um, email address that everybody had, right? Like I remember in high school, I got a Google account or I had a Yahoo email address, and I didn't even understand it. Like I remember in college, like they were like, "Oh, you need to go online and get an email address," and I was just like, "So where do I go? Like, what is online?" I mean, even though I understood what it was, I still didn't get it, and this was 98, 99. So, like in my mind, just didn't get it. I actually had a friend of mine who actually hacked. This was in junior high. I still can't believe this. He hacked into the Social Security. Um, this is literally in junior high. I won't say his name, or her name, or their name. But he hacked into the Social Security department, and he started getting Social Security checks for himself. I sat there and I remember we were talking in junior high, and I was like, I don't think that's right. I don't think you should do that. And he was like, Nah, it's okay. They don't even know it's me. They think it's this so and so person. And he was I think he hacked into a VPN, and now listening back, and he was so advanced. I think he finally did get caught and was told not to touch the computer like ever again. Like he's not allowed to touch it because he hacked into the U.S. government. I should probably check up on him and see how he's doing. I think he or she or they are on
But
my.
wait, what so he pretty much just got a slap on the wrist, even though he
Oh,
was like scamming social security.
well, how old? I mean, the thing is he was like 12 years old, 13 years old.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
he was a kid. Like this is what I'm trying to say. Like you look at. I remember we were sitting there, and I used to do this thing called "See You at the Pool." You go around and you
What
pray. Anyways, um,
what was it?
but
Wait. So was this someone that like is actually famous for doing that? Because I
no,
feel like I've
no,
seen like
he's not.
something about that
I
from
don't.
like the 90s, but
I don't
I
think
thought
so.
that was like a movie, or I saw like a news thing about it, or a documentary about it.
I don't think he was the one.
Oh,
He.
so
I know
there
what you're talking
so there
about.
were probably a few kids that were like that advanced,
Yeah,
and he was just one of them.
yeah, yeah. And but I remember when he told me that, I sat there and I was like, so this thing called the internet. He goes, yeah, man, it's actually really cool. You can get things, and there's a thing called the dark net, and like he knew all about this stuff. And I just remember just being like, I
So the
don't think
dark web was around all the way back then.
I honestly, I just threw that out there. I really don't know. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but I do think that it was. Actually, I probably should do some research on it and to see what's actually going on with that. But
It
yeah,
most likely was because criminals were the first ones to because like even though there was a lot of fear about not getting into Bitcoin because it was like how criminals transact and this and that. Even though it was technically true, it was just because they were the first ones to find out and exploit the ability of Bitcoin,
yeah,
but that wasn't its sole purpose.
right.
But like
The white paper states
Criminal
it.
criminals will take advantage of a coffee shop just so that they're able to launder their money.
Exactly. I mean, this is true. I mean, if we're gonna bring up things, right? Like, but I jumped back because, like, so I had a friend of mine. I mean, speaking of criminals, right? Sounds horrible, but he actually, it's not my friend. It was a friend of a friend, and so this friend told me about this other friend who, and I don't even know if it's true, and I'm not even friends with that guy. He's actually like somebody from across the nation, and but he was telling me how he was out there. He had his own strip agency and was going through, and he basically the people that he worked, that he would bring these dancers or whatever to um, the ladies. Like, he paid them in Bitcoin, like like it was crazy, right? Like, the guys that he would bring, and he said these people were. He said this person was so polite, so nice, incredibly just a generous person. But he liked having girls around him after his work day or whatever, and he paid them in cash as well as set up Bitcoin wallets for all the girls, like, and set them up and gave them tips. And he goes, "Listen, this is going to be the way of the future. I promise you," or whatever, right? And this is, I mean, we're talking 2008, or we're talking 2009, okay, 2009 ish, and I remember hearing, and so we were talking about it. He goes, some of these women kept those wallets. Some of these, and granted, it was in a nefarious situation, but they understood. I remember that's when the first real, like, smartphone came out with Samsung. They had the what was it? There was the one with the stylus. I forget exactly what it was, but I remember he goes, "Yeah, dude. A lot of the girls had that phone, and he set up little wallets for them and got them up and running and got them going." And so, like, and he probably paid them with, like, maybe, I don't know, $40, $50 worth of Bitcoin back in 2009, right? Like, and so I can only imagine how much money some of these girls have. Like, if they kept those wallets, they understood what it was, and it was done the way it was done. But it's
Bitcoin wallets or something else.
no Bitcoin. I don't know if it's Bitcoin wallets. It was, they set up wallets for them. I remember because he was sitting there, and so it was funny. He was telling the story how the girls all got around him, and he was all feeling all super special. And, like, he was just saying he's all gay. He's like, "No, look, this is what you're gonna do, right?" And the guy was basically like a hacker, worked with stuff, but that's what he did, and that's what they worked in. They worked with Bitcoin because it was one of the ways to get around, without
Because
being seen.
back when Bitcoin first came out, it was fully decentralized. Like
Yes.
I don't even think that Coinbase was around yet.
Mm-mm.
You had to like mine it. You had to either mine it for yourself, or you had to literally find somebody through like an app like local bitcoins or something, and it was kind of like from the little bit of research I've done, it was like the equivalent to Craigslist, where like you would just try find somebody and hope that they're not going to rob you.
I don't know the details of everything, but I do know that he was saying, though. My friend who was telling me the story just said that the guy would go through, and he would, a lot of times he would pay in Bitcoin. That's what he did. And so I don't know if he was mining it at that time. He might have been. I don't know. The guy was kind of a computer nerd. So
Mm-hmm.
back
it,
then,
it, he was most likely mining in it, but and if not, at least like he was probably like finding people that had Bitcoin and buying it from them.
yeah,
But he most but like if he was just
probably
giving it
mining.
out,
Yeah, he was probably
he
mining.
most likely was mining it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what he did. He was like a computer guy. That's what, and he was kind of a nerdy guy. But he was known as the nerdy guy to not piss off, because he could
Yeah.
ruin your life. He could ruin, supposedly. So, and I don't know, but all I think about myself is like, man, those girls, if they kept it, if and who knows, that guy's probably a multi billionaire. He's probably Who knows? He might even be Satoshi Yakamoto, and I don't even know, right? Like that would be hilarious. That would be so funny, right? Like
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
that would be only the best, man. But yeah, I just think it's really interesting what we're seeing. One of the things I wanted to bring up as well, besides that,
Oh,
the
sorry, Pedro. Real quick, I just got a joke. Do you know who? What I would be really crazy. It was the true Satoshi Yakamoto,
who?
JFK Jr. And Elvis Presley.
I'm not even good. You know, the world is so strange. I wouldn't put it past it, but I'm not gonna believe it until
No,
I
no,
see it.
no,
You
no,
know,
no.
like
I was that was purely a joke. But like
it'd
there
be
are
funny.
conspiracy
JFK
theories
Jr.'s all
that
what?
they are both still alive. That part I kind of believe. I'm not sure if they would be Satoshi Yakamoto. That they are alive though.
I don't know. I mean, I'm I'm not too bullish or bearish on those type of things because like I just you can't verify any of it until you really do see it, right?
Well,
So
well, you can't verify it until they decide to be like, yeah, bro, but we're alive.
yeah, I mean, and I don't even put my mental mind thoughts to it. It's like I
Yeah,
got other things to think about.
I more just said it just to make a joke.
Yeah, here would be actually be really dope though if it was if and I think there's a person that was going to be it of all people. I think it would be Buterin. I think it'd be Vitalik Buterin. I think it would be
That actually makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
That thought because like he might have did it anonymously for Bitcoin to see how people react, and when it started getting adoption, he's like, now I'll dox myself and come up with a Ethereum, which is going to be even, which is going
Bigger.
to have an actual utility.
Yeah, and because he has the mental intellect, he has the coding skill. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of fits. I mean, we know that he's met with um um uh Putin, and he's had
He has.
yeah. I mean, so it's like this weird thing. If there was going to be a guy that I could sit there and say that's who Satoshi Yakamoto is, if it's not an entity or if it's a she, but he's more than capable. He's brilliant. And he's fairly decent with people. He understands people well enough. I mean, when he was at a conference and they had Craig White, not Craig, yeah,
Who's that?
Craig White is the guy. Shoot, I'm forgetting who claims to be Satoshi Yakamoto. Um, what's his name? Craig. I think it's Craig Wright. It might be Craig Wright. Oh, let me see here real quick just to make sure I'm on White. Craig Wright. Craig White. Satoshi Yakamoto. Yeah. Craig Wright. I thought so. Yeah. So Craig Wright was at a conference and he was claiming to be Satoshi Yakamoto, and he was actually speaking as one of the guests. And what was so interesting was this, and this was that that um uh that not Vladimir that wow, why is my brain blanking on his name? I just said it. Buterin, Vitalik basically stands up in the audience and goes, "Why do you have this joke of a man claim to be Satoshi Yakamoto and he can barely even understand coding on a deep level? Why are you having him here?" Like, and he did this in front of everybody, and he calls out, Craig Wright, in regards to you don't know Jack, be quiet. Like if there's going to be a person, that would actually, I think, understand and gauge how to do things, I think it would be him. I just do. I don't know, and here's the thing: if if he was to do it, okay, um, if he had done it, let's say he's Satoshi Nakamoto. I think he has the gumption and the and the willpower not to come out and need people's approval of him saying, I could truly see him being the guy who says, I'm him, but I don't need, I don't need people's approval of me. You know?
Yeah, because he already established himself with a fit theorem on top of it.
Yeah,
He's just like, whatever.
yeah.
But
He's
I actually have to get going, Pedro.
no worries. No, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you, man. You have a blessed day, and I will talk
Thanks.
to you
You
soon.
too. Have a good
Uh,
weekend.
you too. I'll see you on Tuesday. Correct?
Yep.
All right, excellent. We'll see you then. Have a blessed day.
But you too. Bye.
All right, bye. So yeah, that was an interesting conversation, guys. One last little bit, one I want to bring up as well as for news, um, and I want to throw this out because I think it's something that's very interesting. Um, the Vasil hard fork with Cardano is, I think it's one of those things that is very. I think it's going to be another big deal. We're seeing a lot of people come in and really just. Um, I just, you're seeing a lot more projects coming in, and it's going to make things much like less inexpensive to go ahead and launch on them. So I do see that as a bullish sign. And if there's going to be another, I think, company or blockchain that very much could see some really big pushes, I think that could be one of them. But the biggest thing is this: it also still follows Bitcoin, and so just to be mindful of that, guys, that Bitcoin is still making lower highs and lower lows. So until we start to see some higher highs and higher lows come into the market, be mindful of what is actually going on in the actual and everything that's going on. Pardon me here, real quick. I've actually been trying to play with options here and checking out Ethereum options and what they've been doing. So it's actually been really interesting to sit there and see what's actually happening with Bitcoin and implied volatility overlaying it. It's been really interesting. So shout out to Matt, what is it, DeFi Skeptic, for showing me this stuff. Some pretty dope stuff. So let me go ahead real quick. We'll go over some of the charts and then we'll get out of here. All right. I'm kind of sad that this guy Matthew, whatever his name was, never came in and said what's up. So, EarthFi, how you doing? How's it going, mate? It's good to see you, homie. It's a pleasure. Let's go ahead and go right into the charts here as we're looking at certain things. So, as we're looking right now at the ES did have a little sell-off of today. We definitely found some. We didn't find any resistance. We blew through the resistance that I was talking about down in here. So let me come up right here. And I've been talking about this now for a few weeks. And let me take this off so you guys can see it. That we've already traded through this area, okay? And in this same sense, the next real spot is down in this 35.80 mark, right? We went up for the week. Like, remember what I was talking about on Monday. We went up on Monday, right? Whenever I see it go up in the first part of the week, I typically think we're going to have the sell-off. If I see it go down at the first part of the week, we typically have a rise up, right? And so many times, that's how I look at things. Right here, you can see this, that we hit these higher time frame gap. So there's a major gap right here where you had a bunch of sellers stepping in. Boom. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go online and look up gap and runs or gap plays, right? And there are different types of gap plays. This is basically an institutional gap play in which Online Trading Academy teaches, which I paid for. a lot of money, too much. Realized I could have learned it other places, but whatever. Um, it rallied up into our gap area and then hit the moving average. And then we saw the sell off for the next leg down. One of the things that I was bringing up was right in this area here, we had a lot of sellers, but I knew that we were going to at least see some type of resistance at this level. But on a day chart, I want to point this out right now. And this is again, this comes all the way back here. It is a reaction that we sold off through this area. We came and we bounced. Is that it then it bounced off of here. So this zone here would have been very weak. So us to come down and sell off through this area was very, very easy. That's why I was saying we should see a sell off through this area and come down into our higher time frame SMAs down at these levels at 50, 35, 50, or 35.86. So these areas here, I'm pretty sure this is where we're headed to. Now, I'm going to remove this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be looking now for some seller supply. So we're going to remove this, baby. And we're going to look for some seller supply. So we can see here a nice little seller supply up in this area right here and in here, up in here, right? It's the same idea that I have right here. This was demand that now became supply. We sold through, we went up from here and then came down and came back and retested. I'm always telling you guys, wait for the retracement. Wait for the retracement and it'll give you, you'll see it in the charts, right? We're typically going to bounce off of some trending mechanism to start the next leg, whether it's up or down. So you'll see, like you'll always see something like this, where we have a gap down, then a push back up into that area where they'll test the daily. And look at the higher time frames. Don't look at the 4 hour, 2 hour. Look at the daily, because this is what institutions trade off of. They trade off of where they're going to really put in a lot of that money off the daily and weekly and monthly charts. So it's important to understand that. In addition to that, look for a trending mechanism that you can use that you've back tested on the daily, weekly, and monthly. Okay, and you can see by your testing through it that you'll be able to gauge which movement they're trying to push, and it'll be fairly simple if you study the daily. And then if you study the daily, you understand the fullness of the move, right? So you can actually hold on to your trades a lot longer as well. So but let's go ahead and pull some of these lines off of here now. This was previous demand that which just came back into supply. I'm going to remove this here real quick. Which we'll do right here. Move. No, here we go. Not copy, lock, hide, move. There we go. And I'm going to move this right here. Hide me, move. All right. And then we'll move this right here real quick. Now, again, we should see a sell-off through here, come down and probably retrace it back into our levels here. So I'm looking for, like, this level here on the daily is a nice little level. It's a nice little pretty level. If any of you guys remember watching that painter that we grew up with. Such a pretty little, here we go, remove drawing, Sarah. Such a nice little pretty little supply zone right up in here. So you can play this one right here. And then play another one. So this is another area that we'll probably come back down into. And then here's another one right here. So these supply areas here are important to be paying attention to, right? Because the initial real sell-off, we saw price move up, and you saw sellers defend their position. What am I always screaming? Pay attention to who's defending their position, right? If you're moving up, right, and then it gets sold off, who's defending? That would be the sellers, right? Right here. You can see here that the buyers started to defend as we're coming down, right? They're not really defending their position as we're moving down. As we're moving down, we should see buyers stepping in and pushing up, but we don't. What do we see? We see sellers stepping in. As it moves up, sellers stepping in, sellers stepping in. No real buyers here. We have some buyers, but then we have just as big a wick that we see here, right here. And as we're moving up, again, You see, a lack of sellers means not necessarily they're not defending. It just simply means they're waiting for a top area to step in. That's exactly what we saw here. Then we saw the sell-off, right? They're defending themselves here, but you think this is a last-ditch moment, and there's no real buyers in this area where it's heading. So to me, like remember back here, I was explaining to you guys, look, we should see a sell-off down into these lower areas. That's why, because of what we saw here and what we saw coming down, right? Ultimately, we're in a downtrend, right? Here's the first row supply. Here's the second supply area, okay? And in this area, we're also hitting a higher time from SMA. So we're definitely going to see a push down. Now, how far will this go? I believe we should see the S&P 500 at least come down into these lower levels here. Why and where are all my... Oh, don't tell me I removed all my drawings. That sucks. Okay. Tell me it's just for that one and not for all of them. Yep. Okay, good. Whew. I said that was going to stink. So here we go. You guys watch. So this is where I'm looking right now. I look for zones here on the S&P 500 that are fresh zones, zones that have not tapped or not a reactionary off of other ones. So you can sit there and see what I'm looking at. All right, so we saw a rally from here. We saw a good little rally that comes from here. Okay, I'm sitting there. Well, this is a reaction. So maybe here's a flip zone that might come kick in. Here's a fresh little area. Is this been tapped with? A little. We saw it kind of sell down, kind of come. So we could play off of here, right? But my biggest thing is I also like to correlate weekly and monthly zones in an area. You guys have seen me do this, right? So let's go ahead and pull up the weekly and monthly here and see if that correlates. There we go. Let's play here real quick. All right. We have a monthly, or we have a weekly zone right here. And do we have that monthly? Nope, it's not a monthly, but it's still a weekly. So we can play off this weekly zone here. Okay, so we're going to play with this. We're going to put that as a weekly zone and pay attention to it. Right? Because when price comes back into this area, it's most likely, and we even have a gap up, which means there's an excess amount of buyers here. So let's go and put that as green. One second. So I would say maybe the next level here, because a lot of these other ones have already been traded through, right? We know price is sitting right here. So the next real level that I see that has not been traded through and messed with is right here, which is the 35.20, which is what I was talking to you guys about here. So there is the 50. So let's find out the 50 period moving averages. If there's a small amount of one right here. Let's go ahead and pull this up here real quick. Let's see if this will play in that zone for that weekly. So we could see a little bounce here that we're playing with because we do have that 50 period moving average coming down into these levels. But from this point, there's really nothing stopping us from going from 36 to 69. Now you're asking, why do you keep hitting on this, Pedro? Because as this keeps moving down, what also follows it? Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? So let's jump now to them. We could actually even let's look at our NASDAQ here real quick. So you can see here that, actually let me put on a supply area up here, up in here as well, because those were removed as well. Okay, there we go. NASDAQ. It's good to see you, EarthFi. I saw that, man. Thanks. I appreciate the shout out. and you commenting on the thing. I do appreciate that. Now we can see here that we're coming down into this area here. So this was previous supply, which became demand, which we saw bounce off here and push up. But then, and then it pushed all the way up to here and a sell-off for the weekly. Right now, let's go ahead and point this out here real quick. So this was, oh, that's weird. I should have made that demand. I'm going to turn this area into a supply area. We're going to move this to here. Up in here. Up in here. All right, and I'm going to make this, because this is where we did see a big, massive sell-off here, we should see a retracement back. Once we fall into these higher time frame weekly period, 50 period moving averages, we have the monthly and we have the weekly 50 period moving average sitting in these areas, right? So we need to be paying attention because these are strong. These are juggernaut SMAs. So you need to make sure that you're paying attention to it. The only issue is that we don't have any real buyers until we get down into these levels here. So I'm going to move this here because this is a weekly, this is a monthly zone. So we should really see some major play off of these levels here. That's that 11,164 down to the 1009, and then coming down to the 10. So basically, early 1100s to the 10 or 11,000s to the 10,000s here. So be mindful that we could see a nice little reaction up into previous supply, right? And then see another continuation down. You can see here that the 8 period and as well as 20 period moving average is now really starting to take turn and push. So we'll probably see another leg down similar to what we're seeing here from here down. So we can actually play. Let's take a look here real quick to see the distance that we'll see that it might go. Here we go. Hard to meet my peoples here real quick. So we'll play here and then down to, we'll say here. Oh, we can play here. We'll say. We'll go for the extra because you always want to kind of go for the extra play if you can. Let's see. Step to the right. No, thank you. Boom. So let's play here. And let's see. Actually, let me play off the angle here as well. See if I can. So you can see us probably coming down into these levels here even further. So this is really interesting. Wow. If this does continue down, I could see us then coming down on the NQ to the lower level of the 11,000 on this zone. So yeah, wow, that would be pretty crazy. And then hence, what would that do to Bitcoin? So let's check out Bitcoin, the next levels, right? So you can see here that the next levels here are down where? Down in the area that I've been talking about, the 13,900 area, the 14,000 at least here, okay? Because you have nothing but a long run here. You might have some play here, but I believe on the weekly, or excuse me, on the daily, this area here has a lot of play. There was a lot of trading being done, but it's not really establishing of trades, except maybe right here. You do have a daily area right here. So we could see some type of bounce from this level here. To here. So we could see a nice little bounce here, but that's really the only spot left until we come down into these lower levels. But I don't see us really I mean, when I say I don't see us, I don't. It's gonna have to really hit hard. Um, so with this, like I always say, be ready for the retracement. So we should see another retracement down into this area here, bounce down, retrace into previous demand that becomes supply, and then continue down into our lower levels here. So that's it for Bitcoin. We can see Ethereum, as you guys can see, it's even being hit a little harder on this move, right? But it's still staying off of this weekly 200 period moving average. Let me actually pull up to see what the 200 period moving average on Bitcoin is. So Bitcoin's 200 period moving average is still above. So it doesn't even, I mean, that basically, if the 200 period moving average is above, that means if price fell through it, right? That means that it's a lot weaker. So Bitcoin is a lot weaker in comparison to Ethereum. So you can see here that we're still playing off that 200 period moving average, but we did sell through it and we did not put in a higher high up into these levels here. So to me, we will push this 200, we will push through this 200 period moving average. Now we did also come very close to the 50 period moving average as well. It came into our zone that we were looking at the daily zone. We had a nice little reaction off of this daily zone. So you can see we came down, put in a nice little hammer. I think the 5-minute hammer even looked better, I believe. I was actually in the Ninja Lounge when we were actually coming into this level, and I did say, because they're actually, one thing about I always teach you guys, a real trader will never give you a real complete directional trade because it's not how trading is work. Trading works in two ways. One, right, you do kind of pick a bias based off of the short-term potential movement of the market, which way the easy money wants to go, right? Second, right, you want to look also to the opposite end. So if it hits a certain junctional point, then how does it react? Is it going to come down off of that or is it going to push through? So we were coming down, right? We hit our zone, it shot up, and then I said we might see a shoot up because this was for the next day. This was the Fed speaking interest rate. We came down into our area, we shot up, and I said, there really isn't anything until we get to this level up here. So if we're going to see a sell-off, this is what I said in the Ninja Lounge with a bunch of people listening to me. Right here, we were going to hit this area and then most likely sell off. And it is what we saw. Now, in the morning, this was yesterday morning, I did say we could come all the way down into this level here and continue. The reason why was because there's no real defense on the buyers on the short-term sense. I saw no real defense, and I saw more defense of the sellers as we're moving up. So which means that they're putting in their positions and waiting for a junctional point to really put in the real push for the sell-off, right? And that's exactly what they did. They waited for an area. They had a higher time frame SMA with zones where they then turned it around and pushed off of it. So we saw this. Then we saw them push back up again. We can sit there and look here. Again, they did the same thing as they. Now, this is again what I always tell people. You can't be married to a trade. So you can be short in the morning, and if the market's moving long or moving up in the afternoon, you need to change your bias, right? Or you're going to give away those profits. So I started seeing it push up, boom, 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 right? But again, no defense. There's no real defense against this area as it's moving up. So you get out of your positions and you wait for them to turn it around. Okay. And look, lo and behold, this is what did we see? Boom, came up into the evening. Then they started with the sell off. And this is what we saw, right? Boom, 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 sell off. And this is where we're at today with Ethereum. But the biggest thing is this, right? Is that which area is being defended? Are buyers being defended, right? Where you have sellers pushing in and then buyers stepping in, or are we seeing sellers defend? Honestly, right now, we really can't see. We see some buyers here, but the majority, and we see some sellers here. We really don't see any real directional plays, right? Person, because the trend is down overall, I'm bearish. I have a mindset to be short on higher time frames. So I want to go to a higher time frame and see where the market would probably go to and then turn around. So I'm looking at my daily. We came in, we hit that 8-period moving average, and we sold off. Remember I told you guys yesterday, be ready for the retracement back into the 8-period moving average and then to come down and find, I really do think we're coming down into these levels here, the 1200, 1100. I mean, you guys know that I'm bearish all the way down to 800, right? At least to here. My real projection, right, is really to see 534 and 320, right? If this happens, right, this is where I see the market headed to. So be ready for that. But watch, you guys can see that we are playing off an 8-period moving average almost exactly, right? Almost exactly the playoff of it. If this does blow through, then you go, we're going to check out the 8 on the day or on the weekly, right? We're playing off of this 200-period moving average. If they close below the 8 or the 200-period moving average by the end of today, then be ready to see this thing sell off. Actually, no, it's not the end of the week. I'm sorry. Bitcoin, crypto trades nonstop every day. So if by Sunday you see us close below here, we're down in these levels, definitely going to see a sell-off into our lower level here again. All right, and probably further down into the 1100 mark area. All right, guys, let's check out BNB here. BNB, they are, they're basically they are who they are. Weekly, you can see here, guys, that it did do a nice little rebound, and now it's kind of holding this level here that we see. I'm kind of shocked that this is holding here so strong. It's actually holding really strong. So we'll put this here and see what happens here on that weekly. I typically, because we're in a downtrend, I would have thought that we would at least had more of a sell-off through this area. So it's going to be really interesting to see BNB play off this area if they continue down. I'm also looking, like I said, I'm looking for them to get through down into come back, test this 234. There was a lot of buyers in this area, a lot of buyers that came in. So we very much could see another slam down into this area here, but we'll find out. That 8-period moving average did hold everything up here. We saw that we did come back, retrace into the 20, and we're starting to see the 8-period moving average turn around here. So be ready for that. And also the monthly 8 is sitting right here. So let's pull that up here real quick. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this here real quick. The markets here again are showing again weakness. If you look at it from an overall perspective, look, we have a lot of sellers stepping in, a lot of sellers stepping in. Yes, we did have a ton of buyers, but it was not able to close above here. Buyers did step in at the level of here, that 219 to the 230 mark area here that I told you there was a ton of buyers here. Also, we see that down in this area here. So I just do see BNB come down and flow down to here. Let's check out our daily. Again, you want to be paying attention to that 8-period moving average as we retrace back into these levels. This 8 will become the trending mechanism that we will see a sell-off with. You can see this is what we typically see Cardano, well, not Cardano, but with BNB hits, boom, boom, right? This is what it looks like right now, right? It kind of looks convoluted, right? But actually looks more like this, right? We came down, we touched it here, right? So it looks like a bunch of selling, but it basically looks like this. You can see here how it's sold off, right? Well, then it had a rebound area. They were able to get more people buying in as the market pushed up. This is where we sit. It's pretty much the same view, right? That we're looking. But the 20 period moving average is right here. Now we're selling off. We are doing ping pong in the area between this area. So this area is always a little difficult until it really starts to trend on the daily. And then you can play off that daily trend by capturing like a 4 hour or an 8 hour zone or a moving average or whatever trending mechanism that you use to enter into your trades on a short time frame. On a shorter time frame. So yeah, that this is where I see the market do positioning itself as a short. Again, they pushed it up yesterday, but look, there's a bunch of sellers, right? And so for me, I sit there and I go, there's just a lack of sellers sitting there. We can look at the 5 minute. We can sit there and see yesterday. Do we see any buyers yesterday on the push up? And you can sit there and say, no, we don't. We see a lack of sellers. A lack of sellers meaning that they're waiting to push the market down. So look, boom, boom, boom. I mean, this should have came down, tapped the previous highs here. Okay, like a real defense is that it shoots up, maybe to here, shoots down, taps the previous highs here, and then we see a rally up like this. But nothing. There's no buyers. No buyers really stepping in that's defending, or no sellers pushing the market down where buyers have to defend their area, right? So they're basically exhausting themselves. This is what we call an exhaustion candle, right? But I just look at it like this. Lack of sellers means that buyers are just kind of really running, but not really doing much, because the reality is this is the real work is done when they have to defend the sellers, right? You can see here, right? Now we should start to see sellers start to come in this area. Now look, sellers stepping in, sellers stepping in, starting to see a little bit of sellers stepping in. Boom, not much here, sideways motion. Boom, sellers, a little buyer, but then sellers. So back there, we saw sellers stepping in and starting to put in their orders back there. So for me, I don't see buyers stepping in, really defending their position. So be ready to see a drop in this area. Wait for a trending SMA and wait for it to go, right? But once it starts to go, we'll see BNB come down to these lower levels again of yesterday, if not further into the 263 area, right? Okay, and the next one, let's check out ADA. It's pretty much going to look the same thing, even though they did some amazing stuff with the Vassal hard fork. But again, I think this is buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So we can see here, we should, like, from a fundamental standpoint, ADA should be through the roof right now, right? Same thing with Ethereum, but we're not. So looking at this, like you can see on a 5 minute, do we see buyers stepping in? No. What do we see? More sellers, sellers, right? Like these are just little indicators that you can sit there and look to see what's going on. As it's dropping, we were seeing here buyers step in. So this is a good sign of some position being put in. So we'll see. You have some buyers, but then you also have some sellers. So there's no real directional play here that it's telling me. Buyers. But every time we hit higher time frame SMAs, we see a sell-off. So that 50, that 80, that 189 moving average, the 189, both of them, they're in control. They're the ones that's playing this. So again, as we speak, we see, no real defense. So this is going to be a good area to see. These buyers that stepped in, are they going to defend this area? We'll see. If not, and we start to see a push of volume starting to push through, you're going to see it now come down to the next level, right? That 4117 area, right? As it breaks through. It's just how the market works. So that's in a nutshell. We can look at it. We can look at it here. No buyers until we get down to this level here off of this big buyer area. Okay. So in this buyer area is only a reaction off of another area back to the left. So be ready for it to go down again to our next level. Excuse me, my phone just fell, so that was my bad. I use these little things to actually create. It's like a phone holder. Sometimes when I get too excited, it it falls off. So, anyways, let me jump back into the charts, guys. So the other level here, and I bring this up, is look again, push up first. That's never a good sign. I know those guys who are looking and going, oh, it's going up. No, it's not. You want to see it push down first, then go up. But it doesn't. It's going up to hit the A period moving average where we're going to see a sell off. All right, next. Let's play our, I think it's XRP here real quick. Here it is. Go. Playing off that 400 period moving average. Let's look at the daily and weekly because we are there. That's why. That's not a good sign. We hit the higher time frame SMAs here, where we hit that monthly 8 period moving average, as well as that 50 period moving average sitting right in our levels here. I think we have the monthly 50, and then the weekly we have the 200 period moving average sitting at these levels. So knew it wasn't going to be able to continue. It did come up into our supply zones on the daily area here. So our upper level, it blew through our secondary level, but our upper level here, we did see a nice little sell off here. So and at the end of the week, right? That's not necessarily a good sign. So we'll see if it continues into Monday or into Saturday and Sunday. Be paying attention to that fat wick, though. That's a fat wick on that daily. And let's check out the 5, because if we see as it's coming down, right, buyers stepping in and putting in wicks as it's coming down, that's what we want to see, right? That's what we want to see as a defense against the area. Like, and you can see here, a little bit on top, right? But this is just simply subjective to them to push it up. Now they're looking. Do we see any real defense? No, we don't. We see a little right here, but this is still not enough to really even continue down. So they're pushing through it. Now the other thing to bring up, do we see a lot of seller wicks? We see some seller wicks in these areas here, right? Boom. Any seller? No, no real seller works here. So again, we're in a sideways pattern. It's playing off the 400 period moving average here. We hit some buyer wicks here, but then what do we see? We have to see seller wicks coming down, buyer wicks coming in. So that's not bad. I mean, we might see it. I personally think because we're trending down, we will see the seller step in. You can see him already stepping in here. The rest of the market is selling off. So XRP should be selling off to the next levels, which is down in these levels here, the 43 mark. Give me 1 second here, which is previous supply becomes what? New demand, right? So we want to sit there and see here real quick. We do have some position points here, right? This